Good morning, Jobman champions, and welcome to another fantastic webinar. I hope you've had a great week. Hope this time of year is not causing you too much stress and you're looking forward to getting into the Christmas break. We've got a couple more webinars on this year. Certainly have not slowed down in any way, shape, or form from our development side. So, plenty of new features coming to the software before the end of the year, and we'll make sure to cover those in the upcoming webinars. And also looking forward to some exciting developments for next year as well. We'll be starting our first series of tech days and expanding on this webinar series into some quick win webinars to really help get people up and running with areas of the software nice and quickly. So today, absolutely fantastic. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We have some big stuff to cover today. A couple of recent developments that will absolutely change the way in which you can utilize our software to gain optimal benefit in your planning and scheduling. And those are member types. On top of that, we're also jumping in and looking at some of the new features that have been released recently in case they're relevant to your business and you'd like to take advantage of them. Nice and easy, including label printing for jobs in the kiosks. So shipments come in, you can whack on some labels and make sure nothing gets lost in your warehouse, and critical operation dates in reports now, which is a big one. I know people are starting to utilize and love the critical operation dates. So it's important we include those as filters in the reports so you can drag that information nice and quickly. So what are we covering today? Big one. Monster. Actually, it's one of those interesting release notes that you see sometimes come to software, and it might not automatically be apparent as to how big this feature is. And that's why I thought it was very important that we jump on and get a webinar done on this, because this will have a massive impact in which the way you can utilize this software to best benefit your business. And that is member types and allocations. It's huge. We're gonna break it down, and I also want to take some time to really come up some real world application uses for this feature so that you can get a really good understanding of how you can benefit from this in your business. On top of that, label printing, that's a nice and easy one. It'll only take us a couple of moments to show you that, but certainly massive benefit to a lot of companies. One of those really fun real world solutions that seems so simple, but once you start getting into it and using it, we'll definitely see some very immediate return of investment back to you. And of course, critical operations in reports. If you haven't seen our previous webinars on critical operations, I definitely recommend you go check those out. Very useful functionality in the software, keeping the whole team on track towards that critical operation date, whether it be installation or dispatch for your type of manufacturing business. Being able to show that visibility in areas such as agenda screens, job screens, and make sure the whole team is across what we're working towards so that they're aware and transparent and accountable for things that don't happen in time and what impact that will have moving towards those dates. Really bringing the team together to make sure that we're all very mission focused. So we've brought those into reports, which is very exciting. So I'll start with the easy one, job label printing. This is something that has been highly requested by a lot of clients over a period of time. It's one of those fun real world solutions. I cannot tell you the number of times we've walked into businesses and had a conversation with manufacturers, and there's someone walking around the warehouse and they look lost, aimlessly heading out to an area which nobody really knows what they're doing. And every time I see that, I always stop and I ask the owner of the business, or the business development manager or CEO, whoever we're working with in the company, to look at this solution. And I say, what is that person doing? And it's almost always the same thing. It's people looking for items that they know have come in, they know have been received and are relevant to jobs, but there's no organization around where they are or putting them together or being able to make sure that they get on the back of the truck before we head out for our critical date, whether it be dispatch or installation. So job labels is a fantastic solution to that problem. It is the ability to go into the kiosk and connect up one of your kiosks to a label printer and quickly and easily go to the jobs menu, click labels, and basically print out a number of labels relevant to that job. So if you, for example, have a shipment coming in and it's some appliances or parts or anything relevant to a specific job, rather than have to worry about getting scattered into bays and then lost amongst the inventory listings, you can quickly smash labels on there and make sure that when we're dispatching and finishing up the job, everything can be checked off and seen. So very easy to set up in the software. Basically just connect up your normal printer to your computer as you would, and then we've put some templating in the system so that you can customize the information you want to see on those labels. We have put a fantastic label example in the system, so you can just use that one, and you can see here as an example of it with a large bold job number, some other information relevant to that job, just so it's all very clear on the label. But again, as always, if you're comfortable with a bit of HTML, you can absolutely modify that and really produce labels to say whatever you want relevant to those jobs coming out. So nice, exciting inclusion, nice and easy to use in the software. And again, just another real world benefit coming in and improving your return on investment from the software itself. Critical operations in reports, another highly requested feature. Critical operations came into the software several months ago and have been widely adopted by a number of clients. Absolutely fantastic feature and technology. The ability to keep the team on track, essentially. We're aiming to put them in a position where no matter what part of the job manufacturing process they're in, they can see what we're working towards, or even from the lead side of the business as well. If you do a lot of contract work or tender work in the commercial space or government space, for example, it's important to have the entire team working towards a goal. And one of the benefits of critical operations is we can place that target date in given areas of visibility to make sure that the team is across them. And the primary one, of course, being agenda screens, but also visible from lead and lead and job screens as well, filterable easily by breakdown on your columns, and then we can see that information live. And one of the biggest benefits to that, of course, then is the ability to say, well, hey, when we're looking at our work in progress reports, for example, for our jobs, we want to be able to see those target dates so we can really hone in and focus on what we need to be prioritizing in the next couple of weeks to make sure those are met. So those have now been brought into the reports for you so that you can filter and have those columns available. One of the great things about critical operation dates is that you're not just limited to one. If you have 2 or even 3 processes in your business that are absolutely must achieves by a date to ensure that the entire process meets exactly how you would expect it to go in that process, then one of the benefits of this is you can have a couple of critical operation dates to keep people focused, keep them on track, no matter what part of the process they're in. So they can still see their target dates, obviously. If my operation is drafting or purchase ordering, I can still see my date, but I also know that by getting this done on time, I'm helping to make sure this gets manufactured and out the other side by the date that's required. So big inclusion, nice and easy. I don't really need to go into that one too much, just so you know, they're in the reports. You can filter on the columns now, and that information is live and ready to go. But the big one, the really exciting news in the software is the new additions and upgrade of functionality to member types. So member types have been in our software for a little while. They've essentially been label tags, the ability to come in and say, for this job, for example, the installer is Sally and Dave. So you can assign a member type called installer, and you can have a staff member with Sally and Dave linked to it. And then you have some visibility in the software. Excuse me. However, we always had really big plans to take this to the next level. And one of the primary, I guess, immediate benefits that most companies feel from using Jobman, one of the fastest returns of investment in our software, is our planning capability. It's our capacity planning, our ensured ability for you to be able to see your target dates and set them up in such a way that we're making sure we're always keeping things in even keel. By being able to read your capacity, Jobman can do its best to make sure that everything is getting out on time. So from a planning point of view, it is a phenomenal software and has brought a lot of benefit to a lot of companies in the last 15 years, not just in Australia, but New Zealand and around the world. And it is a massive benefit. The second half to that is, of course, on one hand, you've got planning. The second half is scheduling. This is where the rubber meets the road, the real world impact of day-to-day manufacturing. So planning is phenomenal, gets you 80, 85% of the way there. And the software really does a great job of organizing your team and acting as an operational manager. But when it comes down to the crunch, when we're looking at that week and we need to be able to schedule and make sure that each of our processes are both optimized, but we also have the capacity area and staff for those. Jobman has a fantastic scheduling tool called the Target Calendar. Now, one of the best parts of the Target Calendar is, of course, the ability to go and filter by operation and then see a week or a day view and even be able to take those task segments and split them and really optimize the efficiency by which you will manufacture and process. That takes care of the other 15% of the manufacturing side, the nitty gritty, the important stuff. I have 8 installations going out today. I need to make sure that my team is across them and I've split them in such a way that it can be achieved. Because ultimately, those jobs going in, that's when we get paid. All the work prior to that, whilst extremely important, this is the key. So keeping our pace setters in our business, making sure they're scheduled correctly, is absolutely paramount to the success of your business. We're not just happy with having a great solution. We want to take it to the absolute next level. And that's something that I absolutely love about this company, is we don't just look at a great solution. We really want to make it even better where we can. And this is the answer to the missing 1%. And that 1% is twofold. The first half of member types is visibility. So if I'm looking at my target calendar, I'm scheduling, and really we should just call it a schedule planner. It's not, it's not a calendar in the traditional sense, although it has dates and months in it. It is really a scheduling tool designed to allow you to maximize the efficiency of your business and see great return from a profitability and a scalability point of view. So the first part to this is visibility. Now, by assigning member types and members to jobs and leads, that information will become relevant in your scheduling tool. And in fact, from your scheduling tool in the target calendar, you can go in and you can assign those members. Now, the big part to that is because that's where you're doing the scheduling and you're doing the optimization by being able to see who the installer is, for example, see who the assembly team is, see which machine it's going to for the cutting, for example, or whatever your process in your manufacturing, who the detailer is, who's the purchase orderer. Being able to see this information is absolutely critical to being able to help you manage and plan for success. And we can now allow you to do that in the target calendar. So that's one part. The second part is the actual ease of usability. This is a conversation I have quite often with clients and manufacturing sector experts around the benefit of a platform to not just simply be extremely intelligent and helpful and a useful tool, but also how easy it is to apply it in the real world. Where's the application of software, as we call it. And this is a game changer. So traditionally, if you wanted to assign or set members in Jobman, it was absolutely possible. You could go into a task or operation and you could set the member, and you could see that they've been assigned. They would get notification. There's a lot of transparency around that. What it gave our clients was the flexibility to use the system in 2 ways. You can really utilize the system to best manage and control from planning point of view your operation using the capacity, and have those filled to agenda screens, and then staff can just grab those tasks. But where tasks or operations were specific, for example, you may have a delineation between your staff capabilities. In any given operational area, you might have staff that are more or less experienced. So being able to say, this is actually quite a difficult job and it's going to require a more experienced member, we can use the software to be able to then simply say, okay, cool, we're going to send this job off to that person and we want them to handle it. They'll be notified and they'll do it. The rest of the team can see that member logo up on the agenda screen. They know not to touch it. So from a pool manufacturing point of view, and certainly, a lean concept, Jobman is extremely good at helping keep everybody on track and making sure that your team operates as you would expect. The downside of that functionality, and it wasn't a big one, but it certainly was a consideration for a lot of clients, was the fact that it was quite manual. You would have to go in and assign that task member in every job inside that operation and make sure that they were being assigned correctly through the process. It also meant that in for smaller companies where you have a more holistic team, a team of manufacturers that potentially aren't set necessarily to operational areas. They can do all the functionality in the job. They can both cut and assemble and finish and QA and install and dispatch. All those capabilities were there. And what a lot of the smaller companies like to do is they like to follow a person through or a team with that job. Now, the downside to that was it would mean you'd have to go into our software and essentially assign every single task in that operational manager to one person, which is time consuming. Time consuming from a scheduling point of view, and certainly not what the software is designed to do. We definitely do believe in pull manufacturing rather than push manufacturing, and that's how the software has been developed and designed. But it is important for a lot of companies to be able to have that task management. And if you think about this from a real world point of view, you'll start to feel how many areas of your business could be improved if we could have a finer grained control easily. And by easily, I mean a couple of clicks. Great example, leads. In almost every company that we've ever dealt with, there is generally 1 to 2, or in some bigger companies, more people who are responsible for lead management. And within that process, they are involved in both the meeting of the client, the consultation of what they're looking for, potentially also the estimation, and then, of course, the follow-up, all the key critical things that need to be done. So we need a way in which it's very easy for you to be able to go in and say, okay, 5 leads have arrived today. I want to quickly assign them and make sure that that particular member is across all those operations in that lead, rather than having to go in and simply, allocate every single task. This is what member types will allow you to do. So it's 2 halves of a very big solution for a lot of companies that are going to provide absolutely overwhelming benefit to your business: visibility and control. And this is huge. I cannot understate how big a change up this is for a software handling platform to be able to not just be a phenomenal planning tool, but a brilliant scheduling tool as well. Most software platforms I've certainly seen in the world tend to be good at one or the other. They're very good at project management and planning, or they're very good at scheduling. Almost never are they good at both. And Jobman now can absolutely say without any word of a doubt, this is the tool for your manufacturing, no matter the size of your business. And in fact, the bigger your business, it may sound weird, but the more crucial this visibility and this ability to fine-grain control on any given day actually becomes. And it's not just relevant to staff individualization. Members and member types, whilst linked to staff, can also be about quickly operating teams. Very common concept in wide-scale manufacturing, especially in bespoke commercial space where you don't just have one person assembling, you have a crew or a team coming down those assembly lines and sorting out those operations. So this is big news for a lot of companies, and the functionality really has been well thought out over time. Now, I'm going to bring up an interesting point at this moment around this actual solution. We've had conversations in the past with companies, and quite a lot of companies sort of utilize some areas of the software to potentially solve this problem in a different sort of way. One of those options is, of course, job details, where you're sort of getting a bit of high-level visibility in the notes areas around who might be controlling what. Like this, you can set up, this is my installer, this is my drafter, for example, and you can put those notes in. Whilst that's a good solution in itself, the reason why we've taken it from this approach is whenever we build a solution, we want it to have a real-world application ability for you to be able to use easily, but also have real programmatic benefit to your solution. So, whilst job details and lead details and things like that are quite good from like a tagging perspective, they're not the answer to this solution. And this, what we're going to present today, absolutely is. So the other good news is they're extremely easy to set up. And I'm going to go through a few today with a few examples and give you an idea on how you can utilize these in your business. But the beauty of this is whilst the power is quite intense, for what it can do for your business, it's actually very simple and straightforward to set up. On top of that setup, which will be very quick for you to achieve, one of the other great benefits of it is it's not just the visibility in the scheduling side. By being able to utilize member types and staff members linked to operations and those member types now, we have the absolute benefit of being able to say, well, we can now start delimiting filters, which will improve your filtration in super important areas, not just the target calendar, but also things like the progress charts, the job screens, lead screens, areas where you want to be able to quickly and easily filter information in an intelligent sense so that you can really bring that together quite quickly. For example, show me all the jobs where Danny is the installer. Bang, 2 seconds, done. Show me all the jobs where Michaela is the project manager. Bang, there we go. There's all the information. We want it to be easy and applicable in a real world sense to give you the best data output that the software can possibly provide, whilst also giving you, of course, the ability to schedule very correctly. And this is just a primary example of where that benefit will come straight in. You can see there that this particular operation, it's a long and large operation for a big company, has been assigned to me and my team. It's visible. I can see it there. If I filter by other operations, I will be able to delimit who that information has been pushed out to, which means I have absolute control over knowing where everybody is up to. And more importantly, when things go wrong, which happens all the time. People call in sick, capacities get burdened down, things change, machines go out of whack. The ability to quickly and easily come into the software now and quickly reschedule or retask that member, that's the big change. I can simply go into the job, change the member type, assign the new member, and bang, all those operations relevant to that member type for that member will now be pushed to that other member. Sorry, that other staff member, for clarity. I'm going to use the word member a lot today. And I want to make sure that we're very clear on the difference between member and staff member, but this is the link between operational scheduling and staff. So very exciting, very exciting. Let's dive in. I want to really jump in. And oh, that was good. Left my system out cold for a few minutes, but that's all right. Be back in 2 seconds. I really want to show you how easy it is for you to benefit from this, and then give some real world application processes. Because I think for most people, it's pretty easy to read documents and understand what new releases are about, but it's actually seeing the real world application and then thinking, how can you use this for your business? That is the most important part. And I'm going to give you some real world examples, because we've been discussing this concept with clients for quite a while, really thinking through the best way to come up with a solution that will absolutely give you so much more use out of the software, which is great. But I am going to very quickly just start, just for 2 seconds, just so I can show people where it is for the label printing side of things. So inside your settings, inside your templates, you'll notice that there's a new label system built in here for you called Job Label. We have built a very good example. It's very easy to use. It's basically ready to go once you connect up your printer to whichever computer decides for your store person handling for this kiosk. Anyone with that permission inside the kiosk will be able to go in, print a label, print multiple labels. You can choose the quantity of labels that come through and very quickly produce these out the back door. If you're comfortable with HTML, or you're a little bit across the modification of templates, you can change this as well. We have put some really useful template variables in. So there's actually a lot of stuff you can put on this label if you want to. Keep in mind, most labels aren't that big. So the primary benefit we're trying to solve here is, of course, the big job number. So you can really see what's going on. And from anywhere in an area, you can quickly find that stock and stop people wandering around looking for items relevant to their jobs again, which is just, excuse me, fantastic real world solution. Good problem, and easy problem for us to solve. So that's in the software now. If there's something you've been hanging out for, check it out. I think you'll get a lot of use out of it. Very easy to set up, very easy to use. I'll also quickly show you just the impact of the job operational critical dates. Again, I don't need to deep dive into this much, but you can see here that I can now set my critical operation dates up as a filterable area in the report so that we can see those dates. And when we're working on our work in progress, custom reports, for example, or lead reports or job cost reports, we can now see those dates, which is a big one. It's especially from the work in progress side of things. For a lot of companies, they really wanted to be able to see, okay, what is coming up, what is due, what is overdue, where do we need to really isolate and manage our scheduling to ensure that we hit these dates and can move forward. So nice and easy, not much to go over that one there. Just simply come into your reports where it's relevant and turn on the columns, and you will see anything delimited by these fun parentheses here. Parentheses here are your critical operations. So any you've set up are available there. Still, of course, available on the agenda screens, job screens, and all that information. Yes, I'm sure the question will come up, so I'll just answer it now. Currently, the system is not filterable by them because they are a customizable date set. It's quite a difficult thing to achieve. However, yes, it is on our priority list. It's on our roadmap. We definitely intend to make these filterable by ascending or descending orders so that you can go into your reporting or your job screens or your lead screens and filter backwards and basically say, right, show me everything that's due now or coming up so we can work on that as a priority. So that will be coming out soon. Just in case that was a question someone's going to throw at me, I thought I'd get that one out of the way nice and early. So let's dive in though, and let's look at the big change, the monster. There are two areas in which now you will have member type control. We've separated them intentionally because there are differences between how you would use them in your software. One half is in the lead management, of course, so that you can set up your lead member types under your settings and jobs. I think we'll start with leads, just that it's exactly the same functionality, but just I think it's far easier to explain the directional benefit of this from a lead point of view, because it tends to be one of the areas in your software where you have people that do a lot of tasks relevant to a particular lead, whereas in general manufacturing, most people are sort of relatively set on one set of tasks or operation. Generally, they are cutting or assembling, example, or staining, folding, deburring, all of those operations. So under member types now, if you had some historic member types built in, don't worry, we haven't removed them. They're all there for you. What we've done is we've increased and improved on the functionality so that you can take more advantage of them. You will see your list here, but you'll also be able to turn on some new columns. Just to give you a little bit more visibility around what you've created and what those benefits are. So again, you've got a quick, holistic way of going through the software and making sure that you've covered your bases. So when it comes to the actual modification of this particular feature, it is very straightforward, and it will make absolute intuitive sense once you start looking at it. But I just want to cover it just so we've got it on record, and you can go back at any point in your team and watch this part again potentially, and then decide how best to use this for your business. So the first part to member types is, of course, the name of the member type. Try and think of the names relevant to the operational area that they're most likely to be handled. For example, salesperson, drafter, install team, assembly team, machine one, machine two, etc. Make the type relevant to what the sort of staff we're going to link to make sure that it's easy then for when you're tagging inside jobs and leads to bring up this information nice and quickly. The second part, which is absolutely fantastic, is you can now delimit which staff members can be applied this member type. Now, this is really important for two reasons. Number one, it's going to, especially if you have a large volume of staff in Jobman, it's going to give you the ability to quickly filter that list when applying this. So instead of, grabbing a member type and then having to go through all your staff, remembering who's what, where, and how, you can simply come in here and say, okay, in our software, only Aaron and Cam can have the ability to be salesperson. This has a secondary benefit. Not only does it delimit the list when you bring up those member types to choose which staff will be relevant for this particular job, and yes, you can have the same staff person be multiple member types within a job or lead. This is a fantastic part of this development as well. So I could be both the salesperson, the project manager, and something else within a job or lead, which is awesome. So I can get the benefit of multiple things coming through. But the secondary benefit to this is now when I go in to filter particular screens, for example, the lead screen, if I filter by member type salesperson first, when I go to choose staff, it will only filter to the two names that I've selected. So it just gives you that fast ability to break down information as you would expect within the system. So very important, set your staff up here. You can, of course, just leave it as all. In that use case I was briefly mentioned earlier around the ability to say, hey, we've got a small team. Our team is very holistic. They can pretty much cover any operation in our business. I really just want them to be a part of that. I need a quick and easy, and when I mean quick and easy, I mean this is 2 clicks. This is a phenomenal way of scheduling them into all of those operations. You can simply leave this as all. And I can say any person in my operation could be a salesperson or an installer or an assembler, for example. So you can select and delimit or leave as all. The superpower here, though, is this assigned to operations. By default, just so you're aware, if you have member types built into your system already, this will be set at none. We don't want to break anybody's software coming in when they wake up with this fantastic inclusion in and find that it's causing unnecessary problems. So we've built it in such a way that by default, this will always be set to none. And then your capability in the system is to come in and then assign the relevant operations to those staff. Now, I want to make this really clear. You can leave this as none and utilize the member types and member persons or the staff in a tagging role. So you may simply want this just there for visibility. This does not have to be or mean that I want to necessarily come into a lead and automatically assign all those tasks to a certain person or a job. So you have the best of both worlds here. Some really good use case examples here. I'll just so you're across the differences. When it comes to a lead, I probably do want to be able to choose the operations automatically assigned to that staff member because I don't want the operations relevant to those tasks for that lead showing up in my other staff members' agenda screens. So if you've got into your agenda screens, for example, and you've chosen the option to restrict to only see your tasks, this is now a fantastic way to clean those agenda screens up and know that if I assign Cam to this lead, those tasks and operations will be assigned to him. He will see those, the rest of my team won't. So that's a first step power. The second power is the fact that I very quickly and easily, in one click, I've assigned all those tasks. So that's been a fast action in the system to make sure that comes across it. Third benefit is he's going to get notified so that he knows that that lead has been assigned to him and he can now jump in and start that process and get on top of it. And his agenda screens will now just follow my information, which is extremely important. But the flip side to that is, let's say you want to assign me as the project manager. Now, I'm not necessarily linked to a particular task in that operation, but you want me to be assigned to it because there's certain things that will happen by me being a member of that lead or job. For example, when you're a member of a lead of job, you get notified about communication, emails in the system. So if I need to be across what's happening between us and the client, or us and an external contractor, for example, I will now be notified as that simply because I am part of the job. Also, because I am overseeing that job, you might need to utilize me as a filter. So you might want to come in, like I said, and say, okay, filter all my jobs that are of this type, let's say builder work, and where Cam is the project manager. And in 2 clicks, I can now filter my tens of thousands of jobs down to just the focal points for me. And then, of course, delimit by the statuses on the left-hand side. So it's only showing current and relevant jobs. So very fast filtration. I don't necessarily need me to be assigned to particular tasks. It's just that I need me to be aware and across certain things in the communication. And you can, in fact, have notifications set up to send to particular members. And in future, we will allow particular notification settings just to particular member types. So that'll be a future advancement on this already fantastic feature where you'll be able to say, when something happens in this order of operations, I want you to send a communication out to all the project managers, or all the salespeople, or all the installers, for example, and will only find those members of that staff type. So this is an important clarification. You do not have to do the step I'm doing now. However, for those of you, and I imagine the vast majority of you who wish to utilize this feature, what you really are trying to achieve is say, hey, this salesperson will be across creating the consultation, following up with the client, making sure that the quote is accepted, potentially also handling the quote concept and making sure it's sent out, revising it, POs, etc. So by setting these operations up, now when I go into the lead and I choose Cam as the salesperson, I will be automatically assigned to all those tasks. 1 click. As I said, the bonus there or benefit there is not just visibility, it's fast scheduling. It's the ability to now say you are that person, these are your operations, but also it gives you that benefit, like I said, of restricting those tasks in. So cleaning up those agenda screens, I can still just have one agenda screen for my leads, but now when Cam looks at it and Aaron looks at it, they will only see their tasks. Bearing in mind that one of the benefits of Jobman's workflow management is that within a given workflow, not every task is or operation is relevant to one person. For example, in your sales team, you may have it split between sales and the actual estimators. So this is a fast, easy way of saying, by saying Cam is the salesperson, they will pick up the operations around following up the client, booking the consult, filling out the item specs, following up later down the track and pushing this forward into a job. But I also want to set Sally as the estimator. And then Sally will be assigned to that lead. And as soon as Cam has followed through those processes on Sally's agenda screen, it will pop up and say, hey, Sally, we need a quote, concept, or design created for this client. Starting to feel it's huge, isn't it? It's how powerful this management can now be. So there's two more functionalities you need to choose on a setup. And like I said, it's very quick and easy to set up and get benefit from. One, of course, is the ability to assign a first member. Now, this is not commonly something you would set up in the software. However, if your company is very reliant on particular managers or supervisors or project heads being across particular leads and jobs, probably more so relevant in the job screen, then you may set this up so it's the project manager who actually takes the lead into the job. So you do want them assigned as the first member, just so they don't have to remember to assign themselves as the project manager of that job, because they're creating the job from the lead. That's part of their role, so they can monitor it and manage it as it goes forward, and then assign and schedule correctly to who will be handling what within this process, what job types are involved, etc., setting up target dates, checking capacity. If that is your role, then absolutely you might want this ticked on so that they don't have to remember to assign themselves. Basically, they just come in and I start the job. I am the project manager. Immediately, the first member created will say Cam, member type, project manager. Fantastic. So that is an option there. Again, don't have to turn it on, but you can utilize it. And certainly I imagine you'll get some user case functionality where that makes a lot of sense for your business. The second one is required. Now, this is an interesting new permission we've put into the software. You would be across required in our software. It's relevant in other areas such as item specs and lead details and job details, where you can set things up and make sure they are filled out before the thing can be saved and move forward. So we've included this into the software as an important reminder. So if you have a very specific person that must be assigned, or persons that must be assigned as a member type to a job or a lead. And the most common example I can think of is the installer. The person who will be relevant for this installation based on their capacity to that scheduling drives the target date for when we can get this job in. And because that drives the target date, that then controls the start date for when we need to kick this off. So you may wish to make that member type required. And that means when creating a job and first setting this up, you will have to choose that person in order to save the job and kick it forward. So just keep in mind, use the caution. It's not generally recommended to make too many things required, because then it can actually filter and slow down your process, which was not what we want. It's much better to make it easy enough for people to use and come through and create this and utilize it without having to force them to do it all the time, because not always that information is known. But if for your company, it is absolutely a necessity, definitely turn that on. And that is literally how easy it is to start setting up some member types. And you'll see now that this information will start to filter here, so we can see it and we can quickly and easily then start creating some new member types very quickly. And again, as I said, I can have multiple staff linked to different member types, because there might be some different reasons why I want to create that information. And I want those extra tags being set up so the system can see who that person is really quickly and easily. The benefit though now is with just a couple of minutes set up in your job screen, your lead screen, let's get rid of this thing here. I can now very quickly and easily start coming in and assigning some important information. So for example, I've got some leads here and I've quickly set them up, and I've got some examples where we've set the salesperson, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to quickly change this information and change it off. So in this particular job, I can come in, I can see the members, can bring them up, and I can change them. I can edit the types, but most importantly, I can quickly and easily change. And you can see that both of these lists are delimited by each other. So Aaron can be a salesperson or a project manager. By adding him in, he can come in. I can also edit to say, actually, oops, I meant that he also needs to be the project manager for this lead or job. Bang, off we go. And now that's how easy it is to bring those task management in and say, bang, there we go, automatically assigned. Those are now your tasks, Aaron. He will then get a notification to say you have both been assigned to this job as a member type and assigned multiple tasks. Now, something that's very important is traditionally with our member type, sorry, our staff member application, there's always been a notification per assignment, just so it's really clear to the person what they're getting. We've actually updated that now so that you don't get 40 notifications potentially from a job or a lead, and you will just get the two. One will say that you've been assigned, and one is you've been assigned to multiple tasks. But then from the notification screen, Aaron would be able to go in, see the task, and then utilize the hyperlinks to go in. And this works on the kiosk as well. So obviously this is probably the bigger benefit to the platform enhancement, is that ability to say, hey, we can now set these people to these tasks. I want to notify them. I want them to be ready to go. I want them to see this information, and I want them to work on it. And that gives you both the visibility and the ease of control then of that scheduling. So what does that look like in a real world sense as well from the actual schedule side? So the visibility side makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, but let's quickly just create a member type that makes a lot of sense that would be very commonly used by a lot of businesses. And that would be the critical end of your operation, whether it be install, dispatch, delivery, excuse me, or anything along those lines. Coming to the end of spring. I can't wait for the end of it. Absolutely drives me bonkers. So we've got our install here as our example because it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to delimit the staff just to make it nice and easy. I'm going to put it in here. So Cam and Ben are our installers. I'm going to specifically assign them to operations because I want to show you the benefit of this as we come in. You can see now this is modified to my list of job operations using the order of operations to quickly and easily be able to delimit this list. No, I'm not going to assign to the first member, but I want to be able to utilize this functionality. So if I come now back into my leads, if I got one here, I do, fantastic. Pre-sell, ready to go. And let's imagine that I've gone through the lead process. I am a little bit behind. This is a demonstration side here. So we'll come through and we'll say all of our operations and tasks have been complete. This is now ready to move into a job. And I will show you the new ease in which you can now start setting this information up. So bang. One of the other primary benefits to this is you can set them up in the actual job or lead itself, as I did, where I went into lead and I chose the three dots and brought it down. But now to really improve this process flow, especially where it's somewhere important to your company to set those things up originally, I can now come in and I can start setting these up. And, you know, as a primary example, I can come in from the outset. Now, none of these are set to required, and create that job and immediately, excuse me, assign me as that member type. And if I go and check here, I'm there, ready to go, and I'm set up as a member already, and I'm set to the installer tag straight away, which means immediately two things happen. Number one, I get a notification to say I've been assigned to the job, and I've also been assigned to that task. And if I have office user management, obviously I can go back in and double check those dates, check what's going on there. See that information. You have plenty of visibility in the software, not just from this members tag up here. You can actually see physically who's been put on here or multiple persons. Very important. This could be a really big job and I have multiple site members assigned to this for the installation or the assembly or the cutting. Very common example use case for this will be actually building kiosk staff types into your system for your machines as well. I can see that happening a lot for a lot of companies where it's not necessarily a person, but we want to move that out to that CNC. So we want to be able to assign them as a staff member in and say CNC 1 or CNC 2, machine 1, machine 2. There are other ways of handling that via the labor capacity applications, but from a visibility sense, this is a big, easy update way of actually being able to achieve this information quickly. So you can see here that now I've been set as the installer. If I come into the main practical use for this software, it is of course the scheduling tool, being able to come in and start to see where I've been applied and allocated as a staff member. It's visible. It's also visible on the printing, just so you know. So we've added all that functionality in for you, ready to go. You may need to update your template just to bring through those member types, but we've put a new one in so that you'll be able to see those on the printing. And I've not updated my That was not well thought out. I will show you how to do that. Actually, that's a good benefit to the webinar, is sometimes actually making mistakes, so I can show you how to quickly fix them. But you can see here that I can see the member types. And then most importantly, as I start coming in to these operational areas, this is where I get the absolute maximum benefit of the software scheduling. So I can both go directly to the task and assign members here. So I don't need to necessarily go back all the way to the job to take advantage of it. And most importantly, with these areas and these operations, I can utilize the new fantastic functionality around splitting these tasks and moving them around to then optimize, whilst also being able to see the members attached to these operations. So it's going to give you that really fine control view of being able to see and make sure that each of your staff or teams is loaded. And if I see a segment in here that doesn't have a staff member attached and I can see that the others have been brought out, I can quickly make that modification, update the member from this screen, and make sure I'm scheduled in, giving you the absolute maximum control of your ability to both schedule in the software, but also gain visibility and achieve it all in just a couple of clicks, which is very, very, very exciting. Things are stuffed up. I'm going to quickly show you that that target calendar update. I thought I actually did it last night. I apologize. That's my bad. I was pretty sure I was across it. I may have been a little bit tired. So as always, if we release some new functionality in the software, you want to take advantage of some updates. For example, this is a really good new inclusion in the ability to see these on the on your actual visible printout templates as well, your digital, depending on how you use them in your business. You can always come in, and when you see that we've made an update or change that is relevant to a template, rather than you have to create a whole new HTML code or modify yours to benefit, you can simply come in and create a new template target calendar template. And I personally like to just put the date on these just so it's really clear that this is my latest version. And what that'll do is that'll pick up all the new coding around the HTML so that you can see the printout. With these, set that to default. Happy days. And now when I print from that target calendar, I'll be able to see members built into the system as well, which is phenomenal. And the printing, just so you're aware, the printing in our system also happens or is controllable by the filtration. So if you just want to, for example, show me all the jobs where the installer is Cam, I can now achieve those filtrations and go, oh yeah, he's got nothing in that month because I haven't put anything through, nothing here. But I'll come back. Where's that date? Lost that date on that job. That's not very good. Give me a moment. I obviously didn't set a check date to it here. But yes, absolutely. So you can pull that information forward. You can make that happen with the software, and then you can utilize that. That would help set a target date. Can use the software properly. So let's put that in as the target date for the last install in December. Push that through. That will now be visible on my kiosk. I can see that. If this was a critical date, that would have now just filled as critical date operations. And then most importantly, when using the filters in my target calendar now, I can go to December and refresh the information in here and see that come in. Why has that not picked me up? Apologies, what have I done? Member types, installer. There we go. Bang. Installations come in and the filtration will set from there. Just so you're aware, any historic information, that's probably why they didn't actually pick up, where you've had a member type assigned previously, won't pick that up on that filtration until you actually refresh the member type with the staff user role. So that's just a protection we had to put in the software for companies that already had member types in there. So I do apologize. It will mean you'll have to go in and just check those filtration levels, make sure they are actually assigned to staff. It's also to stop the system doing something weird where, for example, if originally you had me set up as the installer, for example, but you no longer want me to be part of that member type, but moved into another role, for example, we don't want the system to break so you can't see the filtration. So in that instance, I'm not a linked member type originally, so it couldn't pick up the information, but we didn't stop you filtering the jobs themselves. So it's just a little side note, just to make sure that people who have already been using this functionality aren't impacted. But you can absolutely see now the benefit of being able to move this forward, utilize this, set these up properly, link all those operations, make sure that your staff are tied, and then be able to choose them quickly and easily coming into both jobs or leads, update them, edit them, have multiple tag systems set up. Absolutely phenomenal. And then you can turn, of course, those columns on in a lot of areas in the software as well. So if you need fast visibility, that visibility will be available within your column linking. But my favorite part now is the fact that I can quickly and easily start changing and delimiting the information and see who my members are. So these filters now will give you a lot more flexibility and power to really break down information quickly. Who is the project manager? Who is the building supervisor? Who is the installer? Who's the detailer? Who's the production manager? Et cetera, et cetera. Whose sale is it? Who's the estimator? Who's in charge of the account? Who's the AE? All of that power is now at your fingertips with full visibility through the software to take absolute benefit from it, which is cool. So hopefully that there has given you a bit of an insight into the user case for this particular side of the software. I think it's going to have a massive impact for a lot of clients. In fact, I don't think, I know without a doubt that this will be a massive upgrade for a lot of businesses and their ability to really now improve their scheduling capacity and utilize this for fast allocation of task management while still benefiting from the planning capacity side of the business. So you get the full run through now within the software to both be an incredible planning tool and an incredible scheduling tool. So one of the questions I got around the member types and member functionality is there plans to include an ability to create that as an agenda screen filter itself? So rather than have to delimit to restrict to own views, we're going to allow you to create agenda screens that will automatically delimit, so almost personalized agenda screens. So the answer to that is absolutely. One of the advantages of releasing this into software now is there's a lot of things we can take with this functionality, this programming, and really take next steps with what more we can do. For example, limiting agenda screens, but also I think the notification one will be a big one. The ability for Jobman users to be able to say, hey, there are particular notifications that I only want to go to certain people. Not everyone is attached to the lead or the job. It's just certain people where it's relevant to see that information. So now that this is in the software, we can absolutely create some of this extended functionality. And I'm very excited to hear and see how people use this. I already know of a number of use cases of people that have been waiting for this. So not just from the scheduling visibility side, but also the ease in which they can now monitor and maintain and create their tasks is very, very, very exciting. So if you come up with some new fantastic ways to use it, please do let us know. I always love hearing user case stories for the functionality that comes into our software. And I think this is a big one. It's an absolute cracker. I think I covered the other question already. So critical operation dates will be filterable in the future, so that you can filter down your job screens and your report screens to go highest to lowest or furthest to the nearest. As I said, it's a little bit more difficult than just a standard range of information. It's not typical like measuring A to Z or 1 to 10 sort of programming, but absolutely that will be coming in. And label improvements. That's another question I got is from a client who picked up label. Absolutely love it. Will we be including other forms of label printing in the future? And the answer is yes. We have plans to move out into some other product management in the system to allow for things like product handling and tracking through our system. Make sure nothing gets left behind when you go out to complete the job. So yes, absolutely. Now we've built the framework, there will be other areas in which we will be utilizing the label printing. So stay tuned.